Why are intelligent men choosing loneliness over love? You're watching another friend get married, another ceremony where someone promises till death do us part. And while everyone else celebrates, something dark creeps into your mind. You know the statistics. You've seen what happened to your divorced friends. You've calculated the actual cost of modern relationships, and you're starting to wonder if the men walking away aren't the broken ones, but the awakened ones. By the end of this video, you'll understand the 7 dark reasons why the smartest men are choosing solitude over relationships. Reasons so brutal, so honest, that most people can't even acknowledge them. And you'll see why Friedrich Nietzsche, the philosopher who fearlessly examined humanity's darkest truths, would call these men the wisest of their generation. But I need to warn you, once you see these reasons clearly, you can't return to comfortable illusions. This knowledge will separate you from most people, because what I'm about to reveal contradicts everything society has taught you about what men are supposed to want. Before we explore why men are walking away, you need to understand something about Nietzsche that changes everything. He wasn't some bitter man who couldn't attract women. He was proposed to. He fell in love. He had opportunities for conventional relationships, but he chose differently. And that choice wasn't about hate. It was about clarity. Nietzsche wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." But he also understood something darker. Sometimes what doesn't kill you traps you in a life that slowly destroys everything you could have become. He looked at marriage and saw what most men refuse to see, a transaction where men give up their freedom, their resources, and their authentic self in exchange for what exactly? Companionship you can get from friends, sex you can get without signing contracts, emotional support you can develop internally. But what you can't get back once you give it up, your sovereignty. And that's where our story really begins. Because the 7 reasons men are choosing to stay single all circle back to one fundamental truth. Modern relationships don't enhance male power. They systematically destroy it. And once you see how they destroy it, once you understand the specific mechanisms of this destruction, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. The men choosing solitude aren't running from love. They're protecting something more valuable than love. Something that once lost can never be fully recovered. And society's desperate attempts to shame these men, calling them afraid, immature, selfish, only proves that their choice threatens the entire social order. Because if men stop participating in relationships en masse, if they stop accepting the deal society has offered them, the entire structure collapses. Marriage rates plummet. Birth rates crash. The economy that depends on men working themselves to death to support families begins to fracture. So the pressure intensifies. The shaming grows louder. But the men walking away aren't listening anymore, because they've done the math. They've calculated the cost versus the benefit, and they've reached a conclusion that terrifies everyone still invested in the old system. The juice isn't worth the squeeze, not even close. So let's examine exactly why. Let's look at the 7 dark reasons why intelligent men are choosing to stay single. And let's be honest about what each reason reveals about modern relationships and the men wise enough to avoid them. Starting with the darkest truth that everyone knows but nobody wants to admit. Reason 1. Modern relationships are financial suicide. Here are the numbers nobody wants you to know. 50% of marriages end in divorce. In divorce, men lose an average of 77% of their wealth. Alimony laws can trap you paying for someone else's lifestyle for years or decades. Child support calculations often exceed actual child-rearing costs. Legal fees alone can destroy years of careful saving. But here's the really dark part. Even successful marriages are financially devastating for men. You're expected to pay for the engagement ring, average $7,000. The wedding, average $30,000. The house she wants because your apartment isn't suitable. The car she needs because hers isn't safe enough. The lifestyle inflation that comes with building a life together. One man said it perfectly. After being married 2 times and all that I have lost because of it, I know staying single is the best thing to do. 2 marriages. everything lost twice. This isn't an anomaly, this is statistical reality. But the financial destruction goes deeper than just money. It's about what money represents, options. The married man's money goes to maintaining someone else's lifestyle, someone else's dreams, someone else's vision of success. The single man's money compounds, creating opportunities that become impossible once you're financially entangled. Another man shared, "I'm 48 and finally awake. It's incredible the changes you can make in a very short period of time when you are alone without having to compromise every part of yourself with someone else every day." Read that again. The changes you can make in a very short period. Because that's what financial freedom actually buys you. Time. Time to build wealth instead of spending it. Time to invest in yourself instead of maintaining someone else's expectations. Nietzsche understood this. He wrote about the will to power, your fundamental drive to overcome obstacles and create value. But the will to power requires resources, and relationships are resource-draining machines designed to keep you productive but never powerful. The single man builds wealth that compounds. The married man builds expenses that multiply. Which path leads to actual power? Reason 2, she wants everything and offers nothing. Here's what men are discovering across the world. Modern women want traditional male behavior while rejecting traditional female roles. She wants you to be the provider, protector, and emotional support system while she pursues her independence and self-discovery. The requirements are deliberately incompatible. You're expected to pay for dates while she talks about equality, be emotionally available while she remains emotionally volatile, support her career while sacrificing your own when balance is needed, be strong enough to handle her problems but sensitive enough to validate her feelings, be successful enough to provide security but available enough to meet her emotional needs. These aren't standards. They're impossible contradictions designed to keep you in a state of constant failure. And the moment you point this out, you're labeled as the problem. One man revealed, "The problem nowadays is worse. Most women don't want to be wives but still expect men to be traditional husbands." Translation: she gets all the benefits of your traditional masculine provision while you get none of the benefits that made that arrangement functional for men. Dating apps have made this worse. When women have access to hundreds of men with a swipe, why would she settle? Why would she work on herself when she can just find someone she perceives as better? The result? A generation of women who view men as interchangeable resources rather than human beings worth building something with. Nietzsche predicted this. He understood that when traditional structures collapse, new forms of manipulation emerge. And the most effective manipulation is making someone believe they're failing at games that can't be won. The single man stops playing the game entirely. And in doing so, he reclaims something society desperately wants to take from him: the power to say no. Reason 3, solitude provides what relationships destroy. Listen to this. 5 years ago, after my last relationship, I decided to choose myself. I've been living alone for well over 15 years. No kids, no girlfriend, and no regrets. Nothing compares to solitude. Nothing compares to solitude. When was the last time you heard someone in a relationship say, "Nothing compares to partnership"? You don't. Because relationships have become sources of constant stress rather than peace. Modern relationships require daily emotional labor managing her moods, constant negotiation over basic decisions, regular relationship talks about problems that never get solved, social obligations that drain rather than energize, compromise on everything from what to watch to where to live. One man put it simply, "I love being single. It's peace of mind, peace of mind." When did that become a luxury? Nietzsche wrote about amor fati, love of one's fate. But you can only love a fate that's actually yours. When every decision requires committee approval from someone whose emotions change daily, you're not living your fate. You're living chaos. The single man wakes up and asks, "What do I want to accomplish today?" The married man wakes up and asks, "What crisis needs managing today?" After years of this, you realize something dark. The companionship isn't worth the cost. You're paying with your mental health, your time, your energy, and your peace for something that adds stress rather than value to your life. Another divorced man shared, "The longer I'm alone, single, and free, the more I get to discover how nice life can become. Getting to be the man I always wanted to be." Notice that word, free, because that's what modern relationships really cost you. Your freedom to be yourself. Reason 4. Relationships erase your identity. Here's the dark reality of modern relationships. They don't enhance who you are, they erase who you are. One man described it perfectly. "It's incredible the changes you can make when you are alone with your thoughts without having to compromise every part of yourself with someone else every day." Every part of yourself, every day. Your music taste gets negotiated. Your social circle gets filtered. Your hobbies get questioned. Your goals get discussed until they transform into something unrecognizable. We need to talk about your priorities. Don't you think you're spending too much time on that? I feel like you care more about your work than our relationship. After years of this, you look in the mirror and realize you're living someone else's life. Your authentic self has been edited, negotiated, and compromised into a version that keeps the peace but serves no purpose. Nietzsche called this the death of the individual. He understood that most people are terrified of their own authenticity and will pressure others to be equally inauthentic to make them feel better about their choices. But here's the really dark part. Society celebrates this death of self. They call it growing together, compromise, maturity. What they're really celebrating is domestication. One man shared this revelation. "I choose myself. Turning 40 this month and have never been married. I don't regret that decision." 3 words that represent the most radical act in modern society, refusing to sacrifice your authentic self for someone else's comfort. The single man develops his true nature without interference. The married man develops a diplomatic version of himself that serves relationship harmony over personal truth. Which man creates something meaningful with his life? Reason 5. You become her unpaid therapist. Here's a comment that reveals everything. "I was married for 26 years, divorced now 12, and love my freedom." 26 years, more than 2 decades. And what does he remember most? Not the companionship, not the shared experiences, the relief when it ended. That tells you everything about what modern relationships actually are. Emotional labor camps. You become responsible for her happiness, but she's not responsible for yours. Her emotional processing, but yours gets dismissed as unnecessary drama. Her family relationships, but she judges yours. Her career decisions, but she resents your success. Her financial security, but she spends freely. This isn't partnership. This is indentured servitude with occasional sex. Nietzsche understood emotional manipulation long before psychology had terms for it. He wrote about how weak people drain the energy of strong people by making their problems everyone else's responsibility. Modern women have been taught that their emotions are men's responsibility to manage. Feeling sad? That's his job to fix. Feeling insecure? That's his job to reassure. Feeling unfulfilled? That's his job to entertain. You become a full-time emotional support system for someone who offers nothing equivalent in return. And here's the brutal truth men are admitting. Ironically, more married men suffer from loneliness than single men. Think about that. You can be in a relationship and still be lonely, but you can't be single and have someone constantly demanding your emotional energy. The single man's emotions belong to him. He processes them, learns from them, grows stronger. The married man's emotions get filtered through someone else's needs until he's not sure what he actually feels anymore. Which man becomes more emotionally intelligent over time? Reason 6. Modern dating is psychological warfare. If you've tried dating in the last decade, you know this truth. The game is rigged against men. Dating apps give women access to unlimited options while making men compete for scraps of attention. Social media fills their minds with fantasies of perfect relationships that don't exist. Modern feminism tells them they deserve everything while owing nothing. The result? A generation of women who view men as entertainment systems that should provide excitement, validation, and resources on demand. But the psychological toll goes deeper. Modern dating culture doesn't just waste your time. It fragments your attention until you can't achieve the deep work that creates real value. You're expected to text constantly throughout the day, disrupting your workflow, plan creative dates using mental energy you could spend on goals, manage her social media jealousy because other men exist, compete with her endless options while pretending you're special. One man described a breakthrough he had after divorce. I suddenly ended up creating something that resulted in copyright and intellectual property rights. This came out of nowhere without intention. You know what he was describing? Flow state, creative breakthrough. The kind of focused productivity that's impossible when you're constantly managing someone else's emotions and expectations. You start measuring your worth by someone else's constantly changing approval. Nietzsche warned about this. He called it slave morality, measuring yourself by external validation rather than internal standards. The single man develops his own metrics for success. The dating man becomes addicted to metrics created by people who don't even respect him. Which man builds something lasting? Which man creates value that compounds? Which man develops into someone he's actually proud of? The answer is obvious once you stop lying to yourself about what relationships actually cost versus what they actually provide. Reason 7. Better to die alone than with someone who hates you. Here's the final dark reason, and it's the one that breaks society's entire narrative. We all die alone, even when you're married. I'd rather die alone than have someone next to me that hates me. This destroys the fundamental fear society uses to pressure men into relationships, the terror of dying alone. But here's the dark truth. Most married men are already dying alone. They're dying slowly, day by day, in relationships where they're not seen, not appreciated, and not valued. They're dying in marriages where they're providers, not partners. ATM machines, not human beings. Problem solvers for everyone else's life while their own dreams wither. Nietzsche wrote, "It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages." But modern relationships aren't even about friendship anymore. They're about mutual utility. What can you do for her? What can you provide? What problems can you solve? When you're no longer useful, the relationship ends. But the legal and financial obligations continue for years or decades. The single man faces death knowing he lived authentically. Every choice was his. Every achievement was earned. Every failure taught him something valuable. The married man faces death wondering what he could have accomplished if he hadn't spent 30 years managing someone else's life. A lifelong bachelor put it perfectly. I'm 65 and have been single for all of it. In part by choice, part by rejection. In later life, I have no regrets. No regrets. Because he knows something the married men don't. Solitude with purpose is superior to companionship without respect. The choice before you and Nietzsche gave us a framework for understanding these 7 dark reasons. He called it the choice between master morality and slave morality. Slave morality says, I need someone else to complete me, validate me, give my life meaning. Master morality says, I create my own meaning, build my own empire, become my own source of strength. Every single reason we've discussed represents a choice between these 2 philosophies: financial independence or financial servitude, peace of mind or constant emotional labor, authentic self-development or diplomatic self-erasure, creative focus or fragmented attention, internal validation or external approval addiction, emotional sovereignty or therapeutic servitude, death with dignity or death with regret. The men choosing to stay single aren't avoiding love. They're choosing self-love over self-destruction, sovereignty over servitude, creation over accommodation. As one man put it, never live for a woman. She will disappoint and deny you eventually. Be good to yourself. That's not cynicism, that's wisdom earned through experience. The truth society hides. Here's what Nietzsche understood that society desperately wants to hide. Exceptional men have always been single during their most productive periods. Tesla, Newton, Beethoven, Leonardo da Vinci. These men didn't sacrifice their potential on the altar of someone else's emotional needs. They chose greatness over companionship, and the world benefited from their choice. You have the same choice. You can follow the script society wrote for you. Find someone, settle down, compromise your dreams into affordable size. Or you can write your own story. But understand this, choosing yourself will make you an enemy of everyone who chose otherwise. They need you to be as miserable as they are. Your freedom reminds them of what they gave up. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your success highlights their compromise. They'll call you selfish, immature, afraid of commitment. Let them. As Nietzsche wrote, the individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. The tribe wants you overwhelmed, domesticated, controllable. Your refusal to be smaller might be exactly what the world needs. The 7 dark reasons men stay single aren't character flaws. They're survival instincts, financial protection, emotional sovereignty, authentic development, creative focus, internal validation, peace of mind, death with dignity. These aren't the concerns of broken men. These are the priorities of men who understand their value. If this resonates, write in the comments, I choose myself. Because the question isn't whether you'll find someone to complete you. The question is whether you'll become complete enough that you don't need anyone. The dark reasons aren't reasons to be ashamed of. They're reasons to be proud. Stay sovereign.